Hey guys, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video. So in this one we are going to look at how we can control the values of our material in game. Here as you can see I have this very simple material. It has a color, metallic and roughness, and I want to be able to control these values in game when we play the game. So here as you can see, when we play I can hit B and change the color, change the metallic and change the roughness using a blueprint. Here I'm not changing the material, I'm controlling the material values, and this can be very useful in different scenarios. So let's jump right in and see how we can set this up. Alright, the first thing we need is a master material. So here right click in your contents browser, create a material and name it M underscore, for example, editable. Let's open it up, and here we need to assign some parameters to these values. You can do it for all of these here, but for this example I'm just going to work with my base color, metallic and roughness. For the base color, hold 3 and left click to add a vector, then change it to a parameter, convert to parameter, and let's name it color. Then plug it to base color. For the metallic, hold 1 and left click to add a constant, then again convert it to a parameter, name it metallic, plug it in, and also do the same for roughness. So let's change it to a parameter as well, name it roughness, plug it in, and now this is our base material. Great, now let's create a blueprint to be able to control these using code. Here I'm going to right click, blueprint class, create an actor, name it BP underscore, for example, sphere, open it up, and here in our components tab I'm going to add a sphere. Hit compile, then assign the material, and let's put it in the level. Alright, now this is the default material with its default values, which are black, 0 and 0. Now we wanna create a dynamic material instance for our sphere. Using that function we'll be able to control these values here after that. So first let's get rid of these guys here, and then using our event begin play I'm going to search for create dynamic material instance, and the parent is going to be our editable material, and this return node is going to give us this material as a dynamic instance, which means we are able to dynamically control the values here. Now in order to set the values we need to drag off from this pin, search for set vector parameter value, and next we need to define the parameter name and set the value. So the first one is our color, so let's write color here, then for example let's change the value to red. Next we need to control these, which are scalar values. This one was a vector, so here we search for vector, but these two are scalar, so here search for set scalar parameter value, then write the names. So this is metallic, and make sure you don't misspell anything, otherwise they're not going to work. So we have a double L here, and next do the same for the roughness. Great. Now what will happen here is that as soon as we start the game, it will create the material instance, then it's going to change these values. But now if I play the game, nothing will happen because we are not assigning the material to our sphere. So here, before we do these things, we need to grab our sphere and set the material. So we need to set the material based on this guy here. Now, as soon as we play the game, you can see that the values will be set based on these here. All right, now before we continue, let's clean this up a little. Here we have this return value, which is the target for these functions, but the lines are overlapping, which makes things look complicated. So instead of getting the target directly from this, we can promote this to a variable and then store the value inside the variable and then use that variable for the target. So let's make a little room, then drag off from this, promote it to a variable, name it dynamic material. And now instead of dragging away from this, we can use this reference here. So for the first one, it's not going to look bad, so let's go with that, but the others can be set like this, which in my opinion makes your code more understandable and more readable. Great, now this is the base setup and this is the logic, and as you can see it's working perfectly. And now you can call these functions with different methods. For example, you can set up a key, set up a timer, or whatever you like. For instance, we can use a key in this case. So here, before we do everything here, we just need to enable the input. So search for enable inputs, get player controller. Then let's add a key. Choose one of these, select this, and here, for example, let's set it on B. Then I'm going to add a flip-flop. Then instead of calling this function on our begin play, we are going to call them with our keyboard. So plug these guys in, and now what will happen is that when we play the game, we have the default values. When we play B for the first time, these will be called and these values will be assigned. And if we call it again, so I'm going to duplicate all of these, plug this to B, and this time we can go with a different setup. So we can have a completely metallic and reflective material. So now we have this. When I hit B, it's looking like this. When I hit B again, it's going to change based on these values here. Of course, you can promote these to variables as well and control the values, so you don't have to add another set of functions. You can create arrays, you can do a lot of things, but the basic thing you need to know is to create the dynamic material instance and then control the parameters using these functions. Yeah, that's it for this video, and if you learned something new from this tutorial, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.